Good morning, everyone. Let's continue with Accounting Standard 10. I guess there are no doubts, so let's quickly revise whatever we have done till now, and then we proceed with the next part of this accounting standard. Come to the first page. We are doing Accounting Standard 10, the heading of which is Property, Plant and Equipment. The first point says, what is the meaning of property, plant and equipment? So PPE are what? Tangible items which can be held for use for 5 things: production of goods, supply of services, rental to others, and administrative purposes. And on the other hand, it is expected to be used for more than 12 months. When both these definitions are satisfied, that is the time when you can say that this particular item is a property, plant and equipment. After that, we understood when will you record this property, plant and equipment in the books of accounts. You will record it when both the conditions again are satisfied. It is probable that there shall be future economic benefits to the enterprise, and most importantly, cost can be measured reliably. After that, we did understand that initially every property, plant and equipment will be recorded at cost. Now, what is the meaning of cost? First point says for direct purchase. Whenever you have a direct purchase, you will take purchase price. You will add to that the registration cost or the stamp duty, the transportation or the installation cost, the non-refundable taxes and duties, testing expenses, initial estimate of dismantling or removing cost, site restoration cost, any other expense to bring the PPE to its present location and condition. From that, ultimately, you will deduct the sale proceeds of product manufactured during testing. We have understood each and every aspect in detail. The final answer that you will get will be called as the cost of PPE. You have one additional point which says cost incurred after the item of PPE is ready for its use, even though not put to use, cannot be capitalized. Capitalization will stop once the PPE is ready for use. After that, we did question number 1, and then we shifted to the second part, which is acquired on lease. So we acquired this, we acquired a property, plant and equipment on lease. So finance lease and other leases are already covered by AS-19. So AS-10 cannot interfere in that case, and hence AS-10 will not be applicable. Then we did the third point, which says acquired by government grant. Again, it is completely covered by Accounting Standard 12. So AS-10 will not interfere in that case. Then we did point number 4, which is acquired on deferred payment basis. So which says that the difference between the total payment and the cash price cannot be capitalized. It should be straight away charged to the profit and loss account. However, that difference will be capitalized only if the asset is a qualifying asset, right? So say, for example, if I buy an asset for rupees, for a cash price of 10 lakhs, but in installments, it costs rupees 11 lakh. Then tell me on the chat box, what is the amount that you will capitalize? Quickly on the chat box, 10 lakhs is the cash price. Deferred payment system, you will get it at 11 lakhs. How much is the amount that you will capitalize? Perfect, 10 lakhs. What about the difference 1 lakh? What about the difference 1 lakh? Where will that difference 1 lakh go? P&L. If this asset was a qualifying asset, what is the amount to be capitalized? Suppose if this asset was a qualifying asset, what is the amount to be capitalized? 11 lakhs. Okay, excellent. And after that, we did practice question 5, which was again a very interesting question. Okay. Now we come to the last part of calculation of cost of property, plant and equipment. We have already done 4 parts. This is the 5th part. Out of 4 parts, 2 parts AS-10 was not applicable. So first one is direct purchase, second one is leases, AS-10 not applicable, Third one is government grants, again AS-10 not applicable. And the fourth one was on deferred payment basis. Now comes the last one, in exchange of another asset. Now this is interesting, this is a new concept, and you can see over here, this is a recent addition to the accounting standard 10. So this was not there earlier. It's a completely new and a different concept. So please pay attention. Before you conclude anything about the concept, try and understand it twice. Please listen to what I'm saying carefully, pay attention, and then of course you can conclude, and if you have any doubts I will solve that for you. But before that, I would request you to please pay attention to the concept, what it is trying to explain, and why this provision was introduced. It says calculation of cost of property, plant and equipment in exchange of another asset. मतलब आपने नया property, plant and equipment खरीदा, सामने आपने कैश नहीं दिया, आपने कोई पुराना asset सामने वाले को दे दिया. This kind of transaction will have what treatment on calculation of cost of PPE? That is the question that is being asked. Now they have divided this into two concepts. One says that the transaction has commercial substance, and the other one says that the transaction lacks commercial substance. So very important point, underline the word has commercial substance, underline the word lacks commercial substance. Underline the word has commercial substance. Also underline the word lacks commercial substance. Okay, now please understand what is the meaning of the word has commercial substance. Say for example today, any outlet, say for example Westside brings out a scheme that you can give, let's not take the example of Westside, let's take the example of Chroma. That will be an easier example to understand. Let's take the example of Chroma. That Chroma is telling you that bring your old electrical appliance, and in exchange we will give you new electrical appliance. I am again repeating. They are saying bring your old electrical appliance to us, और सामने हम आपको नया इलेक्ट्रिकल अप्लायंस देंगे. हम आपके साथ एक्सचेंज डील करेंगे, हम एक्सचेंज मेला करेंगे. Now quickly on the chat box, is Chroma doing any kind of social or charitable activity? Quickly on the chat box, yes or no? Is Chroma doing any kind of social or charitable activity? Yes or no? Of course, it is not doing any kind of social or charitable activity. It is doing business. Do you think, put it on the chat box, yes or no, do you think that even after exchanging goods, Chroma will still earn profit? Yes or no? Everyone agrees Chroma ने कुछ सोच समझ के ये डील दी है, और आपको ऐसा लग रहा है कि डील अच्छी है, होगी भी अच्छी, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लेकिन क्रोमा लॉस में नहीं है. Chroma will still earn profit out of it, right? Everyone agrees with that. Now such a transaction where Chroma has already calculated everything, please understand my words, please mark my words. When Chroma is giving you an exchange deal which is already pre-calculated, it is pre-calculated, they know कि ये exchange लेके हमें कितना पैसा मिलेगा, ये exchange deal में हमें कितना profit है, नया बेचा वो कितने में पड़ा, पुराना जो हमने scrap लिया है वो कितने में बिकेगा, everything they are aware of. When such a kind of transaction is there which is pre-calculated, where Chroma knows everything what it's doing, where it's a calculated plan that they have launched, such a transaction is known as that the exchange transaction has commercial substance. Such a transaction known as is such a transaction where everything is pre-calculated. It is said that exchange transaction has commercial substance. Are you getting it? Okay, such a transaction will always be called as that exchange transaction has commercial substance. Let's come to the other side. If you look at the other side, suppose if you start working at Chroma and one day I come to Chroma and I tell you that I want to buy a new television, but I will give old television in exchange. You tell me, sir, we don't take any kind of exchange. हम ये exchange वाला offer कभी देते ही नहीं है, हमारे store पे ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है, हमारा store exchange वाली बातों में नहीं पड़ता. I will then tell you कि ऐसा करने का मैंने आपको इतना पढ़ाया, इतना मेरे लिए exchange नहीं करोगे. I will unnecessarily give you emotional sentences and I will try and push that you exchange it for me. Under obligation, you may even exchange it for me. You may say कि ठीक है आप old दे दो. Now quickly on the chat box, when you have never done any exchange deal and you are doing it only because I am forcing you to do so and because you and I have we know each other since long. Tell me, do you have any calculation already done? Do you know anything that why am I doing this transaction? You are not doing it. Such a transaction always lacks commercial substance. Are you understanding? Such a transaction will always lack commercial substance. So this transaction will always lack commercial substance. Are you understanding? Okay, quickly now I am asking you a question. Based on that, I will also explain to you the further provision. So please pay attention. Say for example, someone has done an exchange transaction. This transaction was already calculated earlier. It is a pre-calculated transaction. Tell me, does the transaction have commercial substance or lacks commercial substance? Tell me, has commercial substance or lacks commercial substance? Everyone agrees has commercial substance. Now look at the first point. Because the transaction has commercial substance, see the point that they have written over here. You will always take the fair value of the asset given up. You will always take the fair value of the asset given up. No other adjustment is required. Why no other adjustment is required? Because you have already calculated. It's a pre-calculated transaction that you are entering into. You exactly know what is happening and what is going to happen and how much is going to be your profit. Now, because you exactly know at every point of time that what kind of transaction you have entered into, you need not make any adjustments. You will only take the fair value of the asset given up. Right? On the other hand, suppose if you enter into an exchange transaction where nothing is pre-calculated, tell me, is it that the transaction has commercial substance or lacks commercial substance? Tell me, the transaction has commercial substance or lacks commercial substance? Of course, the transaction lacks commercial substance. See what they have mentioned over there. You will always take book value of the asset given up. Cash paid or cash received needs to be adjusted. So you will have to make an adjustment over here. This adjustment needs to be made because it is a transaction that lacks commercial substance. Look at the sentence over here. Book value needs to be adjusted for cash received oblique paid, and this adjustment will be made only when the transaction lacks commercial substance. So book value will need to be adjusted for cash received or cash paid, and this adjustment will be made only when the transaction lacks commercial substance. So because it lacks commercial substance, you have no pre-calculations. You will have to adjust the book value of the asset given up. Right now, how will you adjust the book value of the asset given up? If you receive cash, you will have a different treatment. If you pay cash, you will have a different treatment. We'll see that later on when we have a practical question on this. But as of now, you have to conceptually understand one thing, that whenever you obtain a property, plant and equipment in exchange of another asset, it will be given in the question to you that the transaction has commercial substance or it lacks commercial substance. आपको ढूंढना नहीं है, क्वेश्चन में उन्होंने दिया होगा आपको कि transaction has and transaction lacks. In this case, if the transaction has commercial substance, you will always take the fair value of the asset given up. No other adjustment is required. However, if the transaction lacks commercial substance, you will take the book value of the asset given up. Cash paid or received needs to be adjusted in this case. Right? If you are clear with this, let's look at practice question 6. Let's look at practice question 6, 7 and 8. That will give you a practical aspect, plus that will also tell me if you have understood the case or not. Right? So let us have someone answer these questions individually. So quickly on the chat box, Dhairya, can you try solving question number 6 quickly on the chat box? Dhairya, can you try solving question number 6? Okay. Okay, yes, there. I'm reading the question for you.
Yes.
Please pay attention. It says machine A is acquired in exchange of another asset whose fair value is 92,000. The price of the new machine is 90,000 and the book value of the old machine is 70,000. Calculate cost of PPE if the transaction, very important underline, lacks commercial substance. So in this case, the transaction lacks commercial substance. Okay,
Yes, sir.
have they given to you in the question whether the transaction has or lacks commercial substance?
Yes, sir.
What is the case in this question?
Lacks commercial substance.
Okay, when the transaction lacks commercial substance, how do you value the PPE?
Book value.
Book value of new asset.
Yes, sir. No, old machinery.
So it is called book value of the asset given up,
Given up.
right? It is called what?
Given up. Book value of the asset given up.
Okay. Can you tell me in the question what is the book value of the asset given up?
70,000.
70,000. So what will be the cost of PP in this question?
70,000.
Okay, perfect. See what they've given. As per accounting standard 10, property, plant and equipment, it is stated that the book value of PPE should be taken in the above case, that is rupees
10,000. 70,000.
Thank you very much. Right, let's go to the next question. Now, this next question I will explain to you, so please pay attention. It says entity A exchanges its car having a book value of 13 lakhs and fair value 13 lakh 25,000 for additional cash 15,000. मतलब मैंने अपनी कार तो दी, ऊपर से additional 15,000 भी मुझे देना पड़ा. The fair value of the new car is 13 lakh 10,000. Calculate the cost of PP if the transaction lacks commercial substance. Quickly, everyone on the chat box. Does the transaction have commercial substance or it lacks commercial substance in this case? Everyone on the chat box. Does it have commercial substance or lacks commercial substance? Okay. Come on, quickly on the chat box again. If it lacks commercial substance, how will you value the asset? How will you value the PP? You will value at the book value of the asset given up. Okay. Can someone tell me what is the book value of the asset given up in the question? Book value in the question is 13 lakhs. Okay, अब ध्यान देना please. क्या आपने 13 lakhs के ऊपर और कुछ भी कैश दिया है? Have you given anything more than 13 lakhs in this question? Okay, yes. How much extra have you given? How much extra have you given in this question over and above 13 lakhs? 15,000? Okay. Now, when you pay 15,000 extra, will it increase your cost or reduce your cost? Will it increase your cost or reduce your cost? Of course, it is going to increase your cost. So that increase in cost that you paid extra will be added to the book value of the asset. So you will basically have 13 lakhs plus 15,000. So your final answer will be 13 lakh 15,000. You will have 13 lakhs plus 15,000. It will be 13 lakh 15,000. Right, quickly on the chat box. Are you all clear with this? Okay, let's go to question number 7. Let's solve question number 7 now. Okay, let us see if Shifa, can you help us solve question number 7? Please mention that on the chat box. Okay, here you go.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Okay. Yes, let's go to question number 7. I am reading the question. Please understand the question carefully and then you give us the answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it says an entity exchanged its surplus land having a book value of rupees 10 lakhs for additional cash rupees 20,000. The plant and machinery given up to acquire this land has a fair value of 25 lakhs. करना क्या है? Calculate the cost of property, plant and equipment if the transaction has commercial substance. Right. So my first question to you is: does the transaction have commercial substance or it lacks commercial substance?
Sir, it have commercial
Has
substance.
commercial substance. How do you value the PP in such a case?
From the fair value of the asset given up.
You will take the fair value of the asset given. Okay. Now one more question. There are
Yes,
how
sir.
many assets are there in this question? When you prima facie read the question, how many assets do you see in this?
Two assets,
First one is
land, and second one is plant and machinery.
okay. So which did you get and which did you give? आपने exchange किया.
Plant and machinery is given up and land is acquired.
Okay, so you will take the fair value of which asset, land or plant and machinery?
Plant and machinery.
Okay, so tell me, what will be the cost of PP in this question?
25 lakhs.
25 lakhs, which is fair value of?
Plant and machinery.
Okay, perfect. See what they have given. As per AS-10, property, plant and equipment, it is stated that in the above case, transaction has commercial substance. Fair value of the is the cost of PPE. Therefore, the cost of PPE will be 25.
25 lakhs.
Right, okay. Thank you so much, Shifa.
Thank you, sir.
Right, I hope you all are now absolutely clear with this concept. Are you all clear with this? I hope you all are clear with this. Quickly, everyone on the chat box, are you clear with this? Okay. If you all are clear with this, let's go to the next part, which is treatment of spare parts, standby equipments, and servicing equipments. Now, I hope you remember accounting standard 2 where we had studied this, where we understood that how will you treat something which is commonly used with one particular type of an asset. We studied that for spare parts and consumables. Same concept is also explained over here. If spare parts, standby equipments, and servicing equipments fulfill the recognition criteria of AS-10, you will recognize it as PP. If the recognition criteria of AS-10 is not met, you will follow accounting standard 2. Right, quickly on the chat box. I hope you remember this. I hope you all remember this. We did this when we did accounting standard 2. Exactly same part is repeated over here. If it satisfies the definition criteria of AS-10, then you will recognize the same as a property, plant and equipment. However, if it does not satisfy the recognition criteria of AS-10, you will not recognize it as property, plant and equipment. You will recognize it as accounting standard 2. Right? So similar point is given over here as well. Come to the next point. Now this point you have been studying since the 11th standard, which says treatment of additional expenditure, but the new concept is major inspection. Very interesting point this is. Major inspection incurred on a property, plant and equipment. Underline the word major inspection. Very important point that is. Underline the word major inspection. I'm again repeating for you. It says treatment of additional expenditure. मतलब मान लीजिए आपने आज एक असेट खरीदा, 1-1.5 साल बाद आप उसी असेट पे और एक्सपेंडिचर कर रहे हो, उसका ट्रीटमेंट कैसे करना है. और एक और इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है, दैट इज नोन एज मेजर इंस्पेक्शन. उसका ट्रीटमेंट कैसे होगा? व्हेन इन केस ऑफ अ प्रॉपर्टी, प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट. Okay, now first let us discuss this and then we will go to the theory part of this so that you can easily understand whatever is explained. I have a question for you. Simply put it properly after thinking on the chat box. Suppose if I already have an asset and if I incur some expenditure on the asset, after buying the asset, after using it for 1 year, now I'm making some expenditure on the asset. Tell me, will it be a capital expenditure or revenue expenditure? Quickly, everyone on the chat box. Will it be a capital expenditure or a revenue expenditure? Okay, there is one answer which says if the expenditure increases the efficiency, then it will be a capital expenditure, else it will be a revenue expenditure. Of course, that is the correct answer because you will have to see what kind of benefits does that expenditure give. Now, same concept is explained over here. If some expenditure enhances the future economic benefits of a particular property, plant and equipment, then you will consider it as a capital expenditure. If it is only for maintenance, then you will consider it to be a revenue expenditure. Right? I'll give you a simple example. Each one of you has a vehicle, a two-wheeler. Now you get your two-wheeler serviced. You get your two-wheeler regularly serviced. Now the question is, why do you get it serviced? Please understand this. The question is, why do you get it serviced? So I have a question for you. If you get your vehicle serviced regularly, will the efficiency of the vehicle be maintained or it will increase? On the chat box, आप किसी vehicle को regularly service करवाओगे तो उसकी एफिशिएंसी बढ़ाने के लिए या जो अच्छी एफिशिएंसी है उसको मेंटेन करने के लिए? Will you do it to maintain or increase? Of course, you will always do it to maintain it. So if I tell you that your vehicle will give you an average of 50, provided you get it serviced regularly and drive and maintain it and drive it properly, which means when you do all this, you will get an average of 50. However, on the other hand, if you try and change the engine and take the higher version of the engine that can give you an average of 60, now are you maintaining or increasing? Increasing. Of course you are increasing. When you increase, capitalize. When you maintain, remember profit and loss account. Are you getting it? When you increase, you will have to capitalize. When you maintain, it will go to the profit and loss account. Right, let's understand the last concept now, which is major inspection. Now please pay attention to this part, which is major inspection. Sometimes you have huge companies having assets of more than crores of rupees. Now such a company will always call an expert first. The expert will check everything, and if the expert after checking everything finds that you need to make an expenditure which is a capital expenditure, then you will capitalize based on his advice. If he says नहीं ये छोटा मोटा खर्चा कर दो, आपका asset लंबा time तक चलेगा, कोई problem नहीं है, which means he is telling you to make a revenue expenditure. Now the person whom you are calling, who is giving you consultancy, who is giving you advice, is inspecting your property, plant and equipment, and after that inspection he is giving you some kind of advice. This phenomenon, this concept is known as major inspection. When a person is coming, inspecting your property, plant and equipment and giving you advice. Now suppose he gives you the advice कि आपको इसमें कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर करना पड़ेगा, उसकी एडवाइस के बेसिस पे आप कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर करते भी हो, then that person's salary, that person's fees, that person's consultancy charges will also be capitalized, क्योंकि उसकी एडवाइस से हमको कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर हुआ. On the other hand, if he gives you an advice for revenue expenditure, whatever salary or whatever consultancy fees you are paying to him, that will also be charged to the profit and loss account. Right? With this base, let us quickly understand the entire concept. It says treatment of additional expenditure including major inspection incurred on property, plant and equipment. Subsequent expenditure on property, plant and equipment which meets the recognition criteria, that is, it enhances the future economic benefits, should be capitalized. So anything that enhances the future economic benefit should be capitalized. Subsequent expenditure on property, plant and equipment which does not meet the recognition criteria should be charged to the profit and loss account. So which does not meet the definition criteria will go to the profit and loss account. Expenditure incurred on second-hand PPE before put to use should be capitalized. So this also we have studied earlier. Second-hand property, plant and equipment, before you put to use, capitalize. After you put to use, charge it to P&L. Next point, very interesting. When major inspection is performed, its cost should be recognized in the carrying cost. Means the carrying cost of the PPE should be means the carrying amount of the PPE if the recognition criteria is satisfied. So major inspection ka cost will also be added to the cost of PPE if it satisfies the definition criteria. Are you getting it? Quickly on the chat box, are you all clear with this concept? Everyone quickly on the chat box, are you all clear with this concept? Yes or no? Are you all clear with this concept of additional expenditure? Okay, fine. If you all are clear with this, take a 10 minutes break. It is 8:45 now. I will see you back sharp at 9:45. And then we continue. I will quickly revise the concept of major inspection once again, and then we go to the next question, which is your study material question. So take a 10 minutes break. See you back sharp at 9:45. Thank you. Okay, let's quickly have a look at the major inspection part, and then we go to the study material question that is given. So major inspection basically means that one person is coming to inspect your property, plant and equipment, and he will suggest whether you should make a capital expenditure or a revenue expenditure would be sufficient to have the machinery working properly. If he or she suggests capital expenditure, then his fees will also be capitalized to the carrying amount of the PP. If he suggests revenue expenditure, then that will also be then that will be treated as a revenue expenditure to be charged to the profit and loss account. Right, I think it was Akshay's doubt. So I hope Akshay that now clears your doubt. Right, let's go to supplementary study material question. It is question number 1 of your new study material given to you at page number 3.72. Right, I'm reading the question for you. You will tell me whether it is an expenditure that should be capitalized or charged to the profit and loss account. ध्यान से सुनना, मैं क्वेश्चन पढ़ रहा हूँ. It says entity A, a supermarket chain, is renovating one of its major stores. The store will now have more available space for in-store promotion after the renovation. तो renovation के बाद in-store promotion की जगह और बढ़ जाएगी. And it will also include a restaurant. Management is preparing the budget for the year after the store reopens, and it expects 15% increase in sales resulting from the renovation. करना क्या है? State whether the remodeling cost should be capitalized or not. So you have to answer in this question whether the remodeling cost or the renovation cost in this case should be capitalized or should be charged to the profit and loss account. Of course, it will be capitalized because it increases the efficiency, and of course, it fulfills the criteria of accounting standard 10. See what they've given. As per AS-10 property, plant and equipment, any subsequent expenditure which enhances the future economic benefits should be capitalized. In the given case, expenditure in remodeling the store will create future economic benefits and cost can be measured reliably. Therefore, remodeling cost should be capitalized. Mark this important question. Mark this question important. Important question. Mark this last day revision question. Okay. If you're clear with this, come to the next part, which is measurement after recognition of PPE. Very important, underline, after recognition of property, plant and equipment. Underline the word after recognition. What is the meaning of after recognition? After recognition means आपने प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट को बुक्स में ऑलरेडी रिकॉर्ड कर दिया. रिकॉर्ड करने के बाद आप दोबारा उसको मेजर कर रहे हो या वैल्यू कर रहे हो, which technically is known as revaluation of property, plant and equipment. So measurement after recognition means एक बार तो वैल्यू हो चुका है, अब हम दोबारा उसको वैल्यू कर रहे हैं, which means revaluation of property, plant and equipment. Now again here there is there is a different method which the Ind AS uses as compared to our traditional generally accepted accounting principles. Accounting Standard 10 revised says that whenever you do revaluation, before you even go to the stage of revaluation, means at the time when you purchase the asset, you will have to look at one particular thing, and that particular thing is that whether you will use the cost model or you will use the revaluation model. राइट, ध्यान से समझना, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट है। वो ऐसा बोल रहे हैं कि आप स्टार्टिंग में डिसाइड कर लो, जब आप असेट खरीदते हो तब आप डिसाइड कर लो कि मैंने आज ये प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट खरीदा है, ये प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट जो मैं खरीद रहा हूँ या जो मैंने खरीदा है, ये प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट को मैं कॉस्ट मॉडल से ट्रीट करूंगा या रीवैल्यूएशन मॉडल से ट्रीट करूंगा, ये आपको सोचना है। Are you understanding? I am again repeating for you. Please understand. When you obtain an asset, at that time you will ask yourself कि मुझे कौन सा मॉडल यूज करना है, कॉस्ट मॉडल या रीवैल्यूएशन मॉडल. You will take that decision upfront. And if you select the cost model, you will never ever revalue. When you take the cost model, you will never ever revalue. You will continue taking the traditional cost. On the other hand, if you use the revaluation model, if you are using the revaluation model, you can revalue your asset at regular intervals, which means आप पहले से decide करो. Now the question is why this kind of a treatment was given. Please understand that conceptually. बहुत सारे लोग क्या करते थे, इस साल रिवैल्यूएशन किया, अगले साल रिवैल्यूएशन नहीं किया, फिर एक साल छोड़ दिया, फिर रिवैल्यूएशन किया, which means people used to do revaluation as per their own whims and fancies. Whenever they like, they will do revaluation. Now accounting standard 10 gives you a more structured model. In that structured model, it tells you there are two models. One is the cost model, one is the revaluation model. If you want to take the cost model, you will never revalue. If you want to take the revaluation model, then you can revalue at regular intervals. And then they introduced a very interesting point which is written over here. Look at the third sentence. It says this policy will apply to entire class of PPE. This policy will apply to entire class of PPE. It will not apply to one, but it will apply to the entire class of property, plant and equipment. Are you understanding? It will apply to entire class of property, plant and equipment. Now, what is the meaning of entire class of property, plant and equipment? Say, for example, PSP has one classroom at Alkapuri. It has another classroom at Subhanpura. Both are technically classrooms, both are used for the same purpose. Quickly, everyone on the chat box, are they same class of PPE or different classes of PPE? Are they same classes of PPE or different classes of PPE? Is it a same class of PP or different class of PP? It is of course a same class of PP. Now please understand case number 2. PSP has classroom at Alkapuri, Subhanpura and has one factory at Makkarpura. Now factory and classroom, same class of PPE, different classes of PPE. Of course, it is different classes of PPE. Now it says same policy should apply to entire class of PPE. Now my question to you is, please answer with yes or no. Can I use cost model? ध्यान से सुनना. Can I use cost model at OP Road and revaluation model at Subhanpura branch? Yes or no? Okay. I guess everyone agrees it is, you cannot do that. Can I use cost model for classroom and revaluation model for factory? Can we use cost model for classroom and revaluation model for factory? Of course, because they are different classes of PPE, you can use cost model and the revaluation model over here. Okay, perfect. I think everyone is clear with that concept. So let's proceed then. I'm reading the entire concept for you. It says measurement after recognition of PP. An entity will choose either the cost model or the revaluation model as its accounting policy. And this policy will apply to the entire class of property, plant, and equipment. Meaning of entire class of PP: a class of property, plant, and equipment is grouping of assets of similar nature and use in operations of the enterprise. On the other hand, cost model, it says a property, plant, and equipment using the cost model will be carried at cost less accumulated depreciation less accumulated impairment loss. Impairment loss means any reduction in the value of the property, plant, and equipment. So as you can see, there is no revaluation aspect over here. So revaluation will not come into picture over here, right? Let's come to the revaluation model now. Interesting point, very simple point this is. Dhyan dena. A property, plant, and equipment following revaluation model will be valued at with sufficient regularity. That is, revaluation should be carried out at an interval of 3 or 5 years. But this does not happen. Every company usually revalues every year. So they do say sufficient regularity, but it is revalued every year. What are the steps for revaluation? The first step is first revalue your assets. So you will always first do the revaluation. This will derive the fair value of the asset. After that, we will calculate depreciation or impairment loss and we will adjust the same. So So you will then revalue. So you will, sorry, then calculate depreciation. So first you will always revalue. At the second step, you will then calculate the depreciation or the impairment loss. Right. So first we will revalue and then we will calculate the depreciation. Come to the next one. Question number 9 of your study material, page number 3.80, which is your study material question. Entity A is a large manufacturing group owning a number of industrial buildings at various capital cities. ध्यान देना, आप मुझे इसका आंसर दोगे. It says entity A is a large manufacturing group which owns a number of industrial buildings. किस type की buildings? Industrial buildings. These industrial buildings are located in the industrial zone, whereas the office buildings are located at the central zone. तो कितने टाइप की बिल्डिंग है? दो टाइप की, इंडस्ट्रियल एंड ऑफिस बिल्डिंग्स. इंडस्ट्रियल बिल्डिंग्स का पर्पस अलग है, अलग जगह पे लोकेटेड है. ऑफिस बिल्डिंग्स का पर्पस अलग है, वो अलग जगह पे लोकेटेड है. आगे देखिए. Entity A's management wants to apply a revaluation model to the office building and cost model to the industrial building. State whether this is acceptable as per accounting standard 10. So quickly on the chat box, is it acceptable or not acceptable as per accounting standard 10? Put it on the chat box, acceptable or not acceptable. Yes, of course, it is acceptable because there are two different classes of PPE, and two different classes of PPE can use two different models. Right, look at the solution. It says, as per accounting standard 10 revised property, plant and equipment, an entity can choose any of the two models, that is either the cost model or the revaluation model. But for the same class or nature of PPE should be having the same model. In the given case, entity A can apply the revaluation model to office building and cost model to industrial building. So as you all said, this is absolutely correct. And you can use two models for office buildings and industrial buildings. Right, quickly everyone on the chat box, are you all clear with this? With whatever we have done till now? Akshay, Aman, Anjali, Bhavin, Dipesh, Dhairya, Dhara, Digesh, Harshit, Harshita, Het, Ishika, Ishita, Khushi, Manav, Mukaddisha, Nidhi, Nikita, Pavan, Pushti, Raj, Rizwan, Rohan, Sami, Shifa, Shreyas, Simran, Om, Spruha, Shrushti, Tulsi, and Yash. Quickly, everyone on the chat box, are you absolutely clear with whatever we have done till now? Everyone on the chat box, are you clear with this so that I can go to the next part of this accounting standard? Okay, I have one doubt which says how can an entity have accumulated depreciation? They are so there are two methods to calculate depreciation. One, you keep deducting from the cost of your asset. The second method is, you would have studied this in the 11th standard, is the accumulated depreciation method, where you never reduce the cost of the asset. You keep accumulating depreciation on the liability side as a reserve and provision. So now if you see the net effect on the asset, it is exactly same. So accumulated depreciation means your asset is recorded at the original cost in the balance sheet. Whatever depreciation you're calculating, you do not deduct from the cost of the asset. You keep it on the liability side as a provision and you keep accumulating it. Right, I hope Raj that is clear to you. Okay, fine, I guess everyone is clear. So let's go to a study material question which is given on page 3.82. Let's go to a study material question. Let us go to a study material question. It says gross amount 1000, accumulated depreciation 400, revalued amount is 1500. Calculate revaluation gain or loss. It's an absolutely simple question. Let's solve it. Put your first statement. As per accounting standard 10, property, plant and equipment, calculation of revaluation gain oblique loss. Calculation of revaluation gain oblique loss. Okay, it says gross amount. So let me put over here. Gross amount is 1000. Gross amount. I will deduct from that accumulated depreciation. We deduct 400. How much do you get? 600. Against that, revalued amount is 1500. Tell me, आपकी value 600 थी, revalued amount अब 1500 आ रही है. Is it revaluation gain or loss? Tell me, revaluation gain or loss? If gain, how much? If loss, how much? you have a gain, of course, of 900. Take this down quickly. It's a simple solution. Once you're done, please put down on the chat box so that we can proceed to the next question. Okay, I hope you are done taking down this solution. It's a very simple question and I don't think it will ever be asked in the exam. However, I have one doubt which says why are we deducting impairment loss? So impairment loss will give you the correct value. Now Simran, please understand. Say for example, आपके पास एक asset है 10 लाख रुपए का. You have an asset of 10 lakh rupees. That asset of 10 lakh rupees that you have with you, that asset you have an accumulated depreciation of 2 lakhs. So the asset becomes 8 lakhs. अब आपकी बुक वैल्यू 8 lakhs है लेकिन वो असेट का वैल्यू इन यूज जितना आप यूज करने वाले हो वो 7 lakhs है. नाउ सिमरन माय क्वेश्चन टू यू इज व्हाट इज द करेक्ट फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ द असेट? मार्केट वैल्यू ऑफ द असेट क्या है? 8 lakhs और 7 lakhs? 7 lakhs. How did you get 7 lakhs? How did you get 7 lakhs? Not whichever is less. You deducted 8 lakhs minus 1 lakh. That 1 lakh is nothing but your impairment loss. Are you understanding that 1 lakh is nothing but your impairment loss? Right, I hope Simran this is clear to you. So Raj, if the value of the asset is higher than the book value, you will still continue taking the book value. You will not change it. No, it is not that you will get 8 lakhs by selling its Pruva. You will never get 8 lakhs. When the market value is 7 lakhs, who will give you 8 lakh rupees? Will you pay 8 lakhs for a product that costs 7 lakhs in the market? You will never do that. 8 lakhs is your book value. 7 lakhs is the market value. And you have something known as the net realizable value as well. So what you're saying is really not correct. This is not the way it is calculated. Impairment loss is not the difference between fair market value and the book value. It is the difference between the book value and the value in use. You will take the book value and the value in use. Okay, let's now proceed to treatment of revaluation gain or loss. Revaluation gain or loss ढूंढना कैसे है वो पता चल गया. अब उसका ट्रीटमेंट कैसे देना है, दिस इज द क्वेश्चन. हाउ विल यू कैलकुलेट द रिवैल्यूएशन गेन और लॉस? इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट है, ध्यान से समझना. इसके बेसिस पे बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन है जो आप मुझे सॉल्व करके दोगे, और उसके लिए आपको ध्यान से पहले समझना पड़ेगा. रिवैल्यूएशन गेन और लॉस, treatment of revaluation gain or loss, please pay full attention. Revaluation gain or loss, if it happens for the first time. Revaluation gain or loss, if it happens for the first time and the revaluation is upward revaluation. Revaluation gain or loss happens for the first time and the revaluation is upward revaluation. Where will it go? It will be credited to revaluation surplus account. So you will credit this over where? To revaluation surplus account. अगेन आई एम रिपीटिंग, रिवैल्यूएशन गेन और लॉस लाइफ में पहली असेट की लाइफ में पहली बार अगर रिवैल्यूएशन गेन या लॉस होगा, दैट विल बी क्रेडिटेड टू रिवैल्यूएशन सरप्लस अकाउंट. नाउ प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग ऑफ फर्स्ट टाइम. फर्स्ट टाइम डज नॉट मीन आप लाइफ में फर्स्ट टाइम रिवैल्यूएशन कर रहे हो. मेरे पास 3 असेट है, ए बी और सी. ए और बी को तो मैं रेगुलरली रिवैल्यू करता हूँ, सी को मैं पहली बार रिवैल्यू कर रहा हूं, देन इट इज नोन एज फर्स्ट टाइम रिवैल्यूएशन. सो रिवैल्यूएशन शुड बी इन द लाइफ ऑफ द पीपी. If you first time do a revaluation and it comes to upward, you will credit to revaluation surplus account. Now, why will you credit to revaluation surplus account? Because you never anticipate your gains. Prudence concept. Now, because you never anticipate your gains because of the prudence concept, you will not credit to P&L, you will credit to revaluation surplus account. On the other hand, if the revaluation gain or loss is you are doing revaluation for the first time and it comes and it gives you a downward revaluation, you will straight away debit to profit and loss account because you provide your expenses and losses today. So you will debit to the profit and loss account. So you will do what? You will debit this to the profit and loss account. Are you getting it? You will do what? You will debit to the profit and loss account. Again, I am repeating. First time revaluation, it is upward revaluation. We will credit to revaluation surplus. If for the first time you do revaluation and it results into downward revaluation, in that case, you will debit to the profit and loss account. Now come to the next one. Subsequent revaluation मतलब पहले साल में asset के first year में भी revaluation किया तो वो first time revaluation. Asset के second year में भी revaluation किया तो वो second time revaluation होता है. उस पे ध्यान देना क्या होता है. Subsequent revaluation. Whenever you do subsequent revaluation, आपको देखना पड़ेगा earlier revaluation क्या था. Now please understand how do I explain this. जैसे मैं समझा रहा हूँ वैसे ही आप याद रखना. अभी के अभी सब कुछ learn हो जाएगा. Again, let's revise. First time revaluation and the revaluation is upward, we will credit to revaluation surplus account. First time revaluation is downward, we will debit to profit and loss account. Say next point, subsequent revaluation. Earlier revaluation was upward, now also revaluation is upward. पहली बार revaluation किया तो भी upward था, इस बार revaluation कर रहा हूं तो भी upward है. Earlier revaluation was upward, now revaluation is also upward. पिछली बार हमने क्या किया था? Credit revaluation surplus. इस बार भी क्या करेंगे? Credit revaluation surplus. Are you getting it? Again, I am repeating. Subsequent revaluation upward आया, subsequent revaluation करना था. हमने सबसे पहले देखा पिछला revaluation क्या था? Upward था. इस बार revaluation क्या है? Upward. पिछली बार भी upward, इस बार भी upward. वही treatment follow करेंगे जो पिछली बार किया था. That is, we will credit revaluation surplus account. On the other hand, if we are doing subsequent revaluation, earlier revaluation was downward. This time also revaluation is downward. पिछली बार क्या किया था? Downward में debit P&L. इस बार क्या करेंगे? We will debit P&L. Earlier revaluation upward, now also revaluation is upward. You will credit revaluation surplus. Do exactly what you did the last time. Earlier revaluation downward, now also revaluation is downward. Do exactly what you did the previous time. Debit the profit and loss account. Right, look at the next point. Now comes the interesting point. Earlier revaluation was upward, now revaluation is downward. पिछली बार upward था, अभी downward है. सबसे पहले जितना downward गया है, first adjust against revaluation surplus account. Let's take that example. Suppose the value of the asset is 1000. First time revaluation, I am writing over here. First time revaluation, it comes to 1200. Kitna revaluation हो? Upward. 200 goes to revaluation surplus. Value becomes 1200. Subsequent revaluation becomes 800. Downward revaluation kitna hua? 400. I'm writing over here. Second time revaluation. Downward revaluation 400. First adjust from revaluation surplus account. Quickly everyone on the chat box, कितना revaluation surplus मेरे पास already पड़ा है, कितना revaluation surplus इस केस में already है मेरे पास? Quickly everyone on the chat box. 200. So we'll first adjust 200 from revaluation surplus. अभी भी और कितना एडजस्ट करना है? एवरीवन ऑन द चैट बॉक्स, 200 एडजस्ट करने के बाद और कितना एडजस्ट करना है? How much more do you have to adjust after adjusting 200 from revaluation surplus? More 200. That extra 200 will be taken from the profit and loss account. That extra 200 we will take from the profit and loss account. See, that is exactly what is given to you. Look at this. First adjust from revaluation surplus and balance you will debit to the profit and loss account. Right, come to the next one. If earlier revaluation was downward, now revaluation is upward. You will first credit, पहले हमने क्या किया, डेबिट P&L के, अब जितना डेबिट किया उतना पहले क्रेडिट कर देना पड़ेगा. First credit P&L to the extent of earlier debit, and balance credit will go to revaluation surplus account. So balance credit will now go to revaluation surplus account. Let us take another example over here. Let's take a similar example. Say for example, the value of the asset is 1000. First time value becomes 800. Quickly everyone on the chat box, where will 200 loss go? Everyone quickly on the chat box, where will the loss of 200 go? Profit and loss account. So you have over here profit and loss account. Now this value of 800 becomes 1200. Second time. How much is your gain? 400. Tell me, how will you treat 400? How will you treat 400 in this case? We will first adjust 200 from P&L. What about the remaining 200? You will credit to revaluation surplus. So 200 will go to P&L and the remaining 200 will go to the revaluation surplus. Right. Let's quickly revise this entire part, because after this you have a lot of questions which you will solve for me. So you have 4 questions, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All 4 you will solve for me. Before that, let me quickly revise this entire concept. Treatment of revaluation gain or loss. If it is revaluation for the first time, which is upward revaluation, you will credit to revaluation surplus. If for the first time it is downward revaluation, then you will debit the profit and loss account. In case of subsequent revaluation, if earlier revaluation was upward and now also revaluation is upward, you will credit to revaluation surplus. If earlier revaluation was downward, now also revaluation is downward, you will debit to the profit and loss account. If earlier revaluation was upward and now it is downward, you will first adjust against the revaluation surplus and balance will go to the P&L. If first it was downward and now it is upward, you will first credit the P&L to the extent of earlier debit, and balance will go to the revaluation surplus account. Okay, let's go to question number 8, and you all will solve question number 8 for me. So let's quickly see that. Simran, can you help us solve question number 8A? On your chat box, please. Simran, can you help us solve question number 8A? Okay, here you go. Yes, question number 8A. I am reading the question for you. It says, in 2016, an asset having a book value of 1000 was revalued to 1500. Provide treatment for revaluation gain or loss. Yes, Simran, please solve this question. Question 8A. What will be the treatment for revaluation gain or loss? You are on unmute. You can please go ahead and speak. Okay, I think there is some issue with your mic. So, Anjali, can you try solving question 8A? Anjali, can you try solving question 8A? Okay, please go ahead.
Sir, here rupees 500 will be credited to reserve revaluation surplus account.
Okay, so is it upward revaluation or downward revaluation?
Upward
Is it
revaluation.
for the first time in this question?
Yes, for first
So where
time.
will it go? Credit to?
Revaluation surplus.
Okay. Look at the solution. As per accounting standard 10, property, plant and equipment, the treatment should be given to the amount of surplus after revaluation. Is it should be credited to revaluation surplus. In this case, before it was 1000 and after it increases to 1500. So how much is your revaluation gain, Anjali?
Rupees 500.
500. Can you tell me the journal entry for the same?
Sir, asset is increasing, so asset will be debited and the revaluation surplus will be credited. So
Okay.
asset account debit to revaluation surplus account.
Perfect.
500.
Journal entry will be asset account debit to revaluation surplus account. Perfect. Absolutely correct. Thank you, Anjali.
Thank you.
Okay, Manav, can you try question number 8B? Manav, can you try question number 8B? Okay, here you go. 8B. I'm
Yes,
reading
sir.
the question for you. Suppose
हाँ.
if the revalued amount was rupees 800 in case A, मतलब जो 1500 लिखा हुआ है उसकी जगह अगर 800 होता, how will you treat revaluation gain or loss?
Revalue loss 200 loss revaluation loss.
Okay, so 200 will be your revalued. How much is your earlier value in the question? 1000.
Sorry sir, repeat करेंगे. हाँ.
What is your old value in the question? 1000.
Yes.
What's your revalued figure in the question?
800.
So the value is increasing or reducing?
Value is reducing.
Gain or loss?
Loss
Loss of 200.
200.
Okay, where will it go?
Debit of revaluation account.
Look at this table. First time revaluation downward, where does it go?
Sorry, debit of P&L account.
You will debit the profit and loss account. What's your journal entry?
P&L account to revaluation account.
Is your value of asset increasing or reducing?
P&L account to asset account.
Yes, of course. The
P&L
value
account debit to asset account 200.
So your journal entry will be profit and loss account debit 200 to asset account. Look at the solution.
Asset
In
account.
this case, there is revaluation loss of 200 and the journal entry will be profit and loss account debit to asset account. Right? Are you clear
Yes,
with
sir.
this?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Manav. Okay. Raj, can you try question number 8C? Raj, can you try question number 8C? Okay, here you go. 8C. I'm reading the question first for you, then you will tell me. You will tell us the solution. In in 2019, subsequent revaluation was carried out and the revalued figure was 900. Provide treatment for revaluation gain or loss, keeping in mind the information and treatment in case A. Let us prepare for you case A. Earlier treatment was 1000, new treatment was 1500. 500 we credited to revaluation surplus account. Yes, Raj. Now what should we do?
Here in this case, there is a downward subsequent revaluation of rupees 100.
Of rupees?
So this rupees 100.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, not 100. Sorry, not 100. It's of rupees 600 downward revaluation is there.
Okay.
So out of this 600, first of all, we will set off 500 against the revaluation reserve surplus.
Okay.
And the remaining 100 rupees will be debited to P&L account.
Okay. Remaining 100 will be debited to the profit and loss account. Okay. Let's see the solution. It says in this case, before there was upward revaluation and now there is a downward revaluation of 900. So there is a revaluation loss of 600. Now to the extent of case A's surplus should be adjusted and further debited to the profit and loss account. So revaluation surplus account will be debited by 500. P&L account will be debited by 100 and asset account will be credited by 600. Fine, absolutely correct. Thank you, Raj. Okay, and the last question. So, Shrushti, can you try the last question? Question 8D. Shrushti, can you try the last question? Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'll read the question first up front for you. It says in 2019, subsequent revaluation was carried out and the revalued figure was 1200. Calculate revaluation gain or loss keeping in mind the information and treatment given in case B. So let's figure out case B. In case B, you first had 1000, then you had 800, which gave you a loss of 200, which we debited to the profit and loss account. Now tell me, what should we do next?
now the revaluation amount is 1200. So there is a revaluation gain of 400.
Okay, so you have revaluation gain 400. Okay, then
So first we set off the revaluation loss of rupees 200, and then remaining 200 will be credited to revaluation surplus account. Maybe.
can you tell me what will be the journal entry?
Asset account debit 400,
Okay,
to profit and loss account 200, and to revaluation reserve account 200.
revaluation surplus account 200. Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely right. Look at the solution. In this case, there is downward revaluation and now there is upward revaluation. And there is revaluation gain of 400. So the journal entry will be asset account debit 400 to profit and loss account and to revaluation surplus account. Right. Absolutely correct. Thank you, Srushti.
Thank you.
Right. So we are done with this entire part of revaluation. Next is revaluation surplus, but I think this much is sufficient for today. So what you all will do is you will go back today, revise the entire accounting standard 10, whatever we have done. And then you now have my lecture on Saturday. So on Saturday, we will go ahead with the standard. Saturday and Sunday, you have 2 consecutive days when I will be taking accounting standard. So we should be in a position by Sunday to finish off this accounting standard. Then we will be left with only one accounting standard, AS-22. And for those who joined late, we will be left out with accounting standard 9. So probably by 15th of July, your entire syllabus of accounting standards will be over. Right? The key is keep revising, do revise whatever we have done. And if you have any doubts, please get back to me. Thank you so much for attending. I'll now see you day after tomorrow. Please revise whatever we have done. Thank you.